This is the Oppenheimer family. They are one of the most prominent South African dynasties that built and controlled a vast global diamond and gold mining empire, most notably through De Beers and the Anglo American Corporation, making them one of the wealthiest and most influential families in South African and African history. But what if I told you that the version of the story you know about the Oppenheimers barely scratches the surface?
It's minerals being stolen by the Oppenheimer family unashamedly. And no one dares to say anything about that. Because you say that, you are going to be rejected. They are going to come after you. The highest price you'll pay is death.
Because what lies behind the family is headlines of shaping governments, influencing apartheid-era economics, and wielding extraordinary power long after most South Africans stopped paying attention.
The committee wants answers regarding the construction of the Customs and Immigrations Terminal at the Oppenheimer's Fireblade business facility at OR Tambo Airport.
Interesting character, because here was a businessman who played a role in the political sphere. He was a key non-state actor for decades.
The South African Future Trust, or SAFT, was set up by the Oppenheimer family to provide direct financial relief of 1 billion rand to employees of qualifying SMMEs against possible income loss as a result of COVID-19.
This is the Oppenheimer family and how they are secretly controlling South Africa. Major sources come from the three books: The Last Empire by Stefan Kanfer, Harry Oppenheimer, Diamonds, Gold and Dynasty, The Oppenheimer Empire. Other sources are available in the video description. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so I can make more armchair documentaries like this. Enjoy. To understand the Oppenheimers, you need to start in Germany, a small city called Friedberg, in the state of Hesse. Ernest Oppenheimer is born that year. He is the second of 6 children. His father sells cigars. The family is not poor, but they are not powerful. Ernest leaves Germany in his teens and goes to London, where he joins Dunkelsbühler and Company, a diamond trading firm. He is a clerk. He is nobody, but he is watching. He watches how the diamond business works. He watches the cartel that Cecil Rhodes built, De Beers, squeeze out competitors and fix the global price of diamonds. He watches and he learns. In 1902, Dunkelsbühler sends Ernest to Kimberley, South Africa, the diamond capital of the world. He's 22 years old. He plans to stay for a short time. He stays for the rest of his life. Within a decade, Ernest becomes the mayor of Kimberley. He's laying groundwork. Then, in 1917, still in the middle of the First World War, Ernest makes his move. He founds the Anglo American Corporation of South Africa. The name is deliberately chosen, Anglo, to signal ties to Britain. American, because his initial financing came partly from American financier J.P. Morgan and backing from the United States and British governments. From the beginning, this company had the blessing of governments from the very first day. This seems like a good come-up story for Ernest, a man coming from humble beginnings and then founding one of the most powerful companies in Africa. But I urge you, nothing about this story is good, because in the decade Ernest was in South Africa, he did something that separated him from most monopolists that we will discuss on this channel.
Meets with the U.S. Embassy in Kinshasa, has consultations with the U.S. State Department, speaks with Mobutu, flies on to go meet with Mr. Oppenheimer of De Beers in South Africa in what, according to what is certainly shown by a number of declassified U.S. State Department documents, to be an attempt to stitch together a relationship between the De Beers empire and the Mobutu regime.
The wealth of Zaire for two purposes: to enrich himself and to enrich his foreign supporters.
Despite De Beers' deal with Zaire, some mines in the country are beyond its control. These wildcat miners are fighting over a new claim. The diamonds they find will likely be smuggled out of the country to the few markets the cartel still doesn't control.
You're talking about a country which is certainly one of the 2 largest diamond producers in the world, where you have this Wild West kind of atmosphere. And Looking at it from the outside, I would guess that this is the most difficult relationship over the years that a company like De Beers could have with an African government.
Because what becomes of Anglo America is building over the birthright of South Africa, particularly of the majority. Anglo American's goal was simple: to consolidate gold mining on the Witwatersrand. Ernest knew that De Beers had been the most powerful force in the global diamond industry since the 1880s. It controlled which diamonds reached the market when and at what price. So he needed gold. He needed a way to gain both business and political power over the monopolies so that he could maneuver as he liked. He began buying shares in 1920. By 1929, 12 years after founding Anglo American, he becomes chairman of De Beers.
It's controlled by a single company, a single commercial organization, and that's De Beers. And De Beers itself is controlled by another South African company, Anglo American. Interestingly, Anglo American is controlled by De Beers. And that interlocking ownership is what allows one small family company, E. Oppenheimers and Sons, who own just a small shareholding in Anglo American, to control the whole edifice.
As much as I'd like to continue the story of how Ernest Oppenheimer built a mining empire and how his family came to dominate the global diamond trade, there's a much bigger story that has to be told first. While South Africa became one of the world's richest countries in minerals, millions of black South Africans remained trapped in poverty. For decades, mining giants like De Beers and Anglo American generated immense wealth, but that wealth was built within a system that relied on cheap black labor, migrant workers, and racial segregation, leaving the majority with dangerous working conditions, low wages, and little share in the riches beneath their own soil. To understand the Oppenheimers, you first have to understand the country that made their fortune possible.
There was beatings, there was punishments without food. We did everything we could to extort the information from them. There was a stage where no one dared to pass from there, diamonds or no diamonds. So to put it bluntly, we were a terrorist group.
As the Oppenheimers built an empire, men like Saul Plaatje were documenting a very different South Africa, one where black families were pushed off their land while the country's mineral wealth flowed elsewhere. John Dubé wrote and spoke extensively about the exploitation of black mine workers and the social consequences of the migrant labor system. T.W. Thibedi, an early black labor organizer who highlighted the poor treatment and wages of African mine workers. As you can see, there is a pattern here, and where a pattern can arise, exploitation will always follow. Imagine a young man leaving rural Transkei in the 1950s. He boards a crowded train bound for Johannesburg, leaving behind his wife and children. Deep underground, he spends 12 hours a day mining diamonds and gold for wages that barely support his family. Above ground, fortunes are being made. Below ground, he is simply another number.
When I arrived in the mine in 1968, I was quite appalled by the conditions for the migrant laborers. The working hours were long, a 60-hour week. The conditions under which they worked, they were out in the open, there was very little protection against the cold and the wind. They weren't given much to eat. They were given half a loaf of brown bread and a flask of cold tea to last them throughout that 10-hour shift. Conditions in the hostels were not much better. There were no decent dining facilities. They had to eat in their rooms out of aluminum buckets. There was no real privacy. And the hostels themselves were not very nice places to be in, single-sex hostels. 20 people to a room in some instances.
And then a new era came to be, one where South Africa survived on the mines and where the profits were higher than ever.
It's probably one of the most successful campaigns. I mean, measured in terms of the growth in the market. In the 1930s, they were selling a rather insignificant amount of diamonds in America. By the early 80s, they were selling close to $2 billion worth.
And they opened a Hollywood office. And in the Hollywood office, they would give out diamonds to producers in return for them putting the diamonds in the film in a way that was considered very favorable. Now, what was considered favorable was very simple. Surprise. If a woman was brought in on the decision, she might have a lot of ideas on what she wanted. So what they wanted to do is create the idea that the man had to surprise the woman and present her with a diamond.
And now, the important question I wanted to ask you.
It's about time. I'm dying of curiosity.
You know I'm madly in love with you. I want you to marry me, Lily. You're in love with me too, aren't you?
Well, if I'm not, then I'm afraid I don't know what love is.
Here's your engagement present, darling.
Well, Jeffrey, you...
As much as we cannot place the blame solely on the Oppenheimers, they didn't just profit from the back foot of cheap labor, they made a fortune from it. But maintaining an empire of this scale required more than diamonds and gold. It required political stability. As South Africa became increasingly divided along racial lines, mining houses like Anglo American and De Beers found themselves deeply intertwined with the state. The Oppenheimers didn't create apartheid, nor did they control the National Party, but their economic influence made them impossible to ignore. Governments came and went, yet the mining industry remained the backbone of the economy, giving the Oppenheimers extraordinary access to political power and ensuring that decisions made in Pretoria often had to consider the interests of South Africa's most powerful mining empire.
Invited to South Africa, sponsored by De Beers, to go on, I suppose, tours which were meant to promote De Beers' image and soften the impact of De Beers' penetration into the Australian economy. And soon after those tours took place, it became quite evident in the Australian media, mainly through the newspapers, that there was CSO approach being adopted by the media. So I think De Beers' strategy worked quite well in that they'd softened up the Australian media, and the media reciprocated by promoting very favourable stories to the De Beers takeover of the Ashton project.
This is only part one of how one family secretly controls South Africa. The next video we will touch on how Cecil Rhodes stole South Africa's mineral land and his aid from the Oppenheimers. Hopefully you liked the video and subscribed, because the next one I'm working on you don't want to miss.